is JayGS and welcome to this VoliBear Rework commentary. I just want to talk about the new design and mechanics, and this is just wanting to use the presumption, and some people may disagree, but I'm not here to prove whether VoliBear is weak or strong, just using the presumption that he is weak and what to do about it, and what I see are the weirdest designs and what to improve. So I'll get straight to the point that his W, as most would commentate, is quite weird that you need to use it a second time for it to activate the healing aspect. I'll skip the Q since they seem to have upgraded and buffed it quite well, giving a little bit more attack speed, and hopefully they fix the bug that the reset when you are CC'd is not working properly. So I'll go straight to W. The thing about W and its cooldown is that compared to other champions, it seems that other champions, when they auto attack, they are able to reduce the cooldown of one of their skills, and most notably would be Wukong, his Q actually, and it has a cooldown of 9 down to 7 seconds, which is a little bit longer than VoliBear, but it still has a 0.5 second cooldown reduction every time he attacks. And the idea here is that if VoliBear, as a fighter, every time he auto attacks, then his W cooldown should be able to be reduced, maybe not 0.5, but just any amount that a test team would sort of go through to say that this is a little bit more fair. And it's sort of like Fiora's Q, where you need to be fighting with her dash and hit something to get the cooldown reduction, and in VoliBear's case it's more like you need to keep fighting and auto attacking to get your W proc a second time and be strong, let's say. Another thing is for W to have some kind of reset, because there's sometimes where you W a person and then they die before you could W a second time to get your heal, and with that you will have to W another person, you have to restart the whole thing again, and you never get the healing. And this sort of forces you to go for Triumph and hopefully get like some kind of healing within the runes instead of in his kit. So with a reset on his W, if the person who's affected by his first W dies before the second one, then whoever he W's next would automatically give him a heal. This again would sort of need to be testing, but it's just sort of an idea that came to mind. And E, a lot of people sort of talked about the idea of it sort of comes down a little bit too slow, which is sort of fine if that's what they think. For me, I feel like the shield AoE should be a little bit larger. The damage could sort of stay the same, but just the AoE where you get the shield could be larger. But up next would just be the idea that maybe VoliBear just needs a little bit more time for people to sort of get used to him. And the reference would be to Aatrox's rework, which is also quite something that is caused a lot of people to be talking about, that his design has changed quite a lot, right? And only after a while and possibly a couple of buffs, Aatrox start to like get a proper playstyle again and starts to get really strong. And in VoliBear's case, maybe he just needs the same idea applied to him, that yes, it's a shame that his playstyle or his skill changes caused him to be much more different to the old VoliBear compared to, let's say, a more recent rework change, which is Fiddlestick, where the Fiddlestick rework is, some might argue, better because it's more similar to the old Fiddlesticks, but on the other hand, some others would say that it's not as good because it's just the same old Fiddlesticks and there's nothing new. So it really depends on the perspective of what is good or not good, whether more change is good to keep things interesting or less change and keeping the old traditional style of the champion, but just updating him a little bit is better. So do let me know in the comments below if which kind of change you would prefer, a lot of change or just the same old themes and small updates. And as for Volley and his ulti canceling the towers, it is quite interesting that maybe he will most likely need to be like a 5-man pushing lineup where teams should sort of 5-man and push with Volley's ulti and sort of force fights under tower, since his ulti is the one to cancel or stop the towers from attacking, which would lead to a different playstyle. But because people want to go solo Volley, like split pushing all alone or fighting where there's no towers, then they're just not using him as efficiently as one could play him. Just a quick reference to Dota 2, there's just some heroes there that are all about pushing together, like Death Prophet or Shadow Shaman, where their ulti is really good at pushing. And so most of the teams, when the ulti is not on cooldown anymore, they will sort of come together 5-man and just push towers because that's where they are strongest. And maybe for VoliBear, for League of Legends, it's the same idea, where when he gets his ulti off cooldown, then the team should sort of push objectives and push towers as best as they can, because they have the advantage of turning off the tower and taking objectives that way. But I'll leave it here and looking forward to your comments down below, and I will see you all next time. Bye for now.